It's the Hit the Pick show for a Friday or a Wednesday or Thursday, depending on when you hear the show or when you pick it up on the YouTube channel. Available on the Hit the Pick YouTube Wednesday afternoons. That's why we call some Wednesday night games, some Thursday games, some Friday games that may actually have gone off or be over by the time you actually listen to the show live on Fridays. Because the best time to get all these founders together and all these great handicappers, we're missing Tom Macrina today, but we've got Wes, we've got Scott the Steamroller, we've got David Kung Fu Grip, G.I. Joe, David Delano joining us here as well, otherwise known as Black Ice, David Delano. All right, everybody.
Yeah.
So I have been, to say up and down would be generous. It's been a little rough the past couple of weeks. And I got to say, I'm really pretty annoyed at some of the coaching decisions as far as how it's affecting overs and unders. I got screwed a couple of times over the past couple of weeks where people kneeled down and decided not to score.
My God.
And then in a game last week, the team has first and goal at like the 7-yard line. They kneel twice, and then the opposing coach calls a timeout. And out of the timeout, they put the offense back on the field and score a touchdown to beat my under. I'm just like, you have got to be kidding me. To beat my under by 1 point. Ugh! Wes, you were complaining about this as well. I mean, is this a conspiracy that's going on?
Let me tell you something. I saw something I've never seen in many years of watching football on Monday Night Football here in Vegas, actually. It was the Cowboys at the Raiders. I think there's 3 minutes left in the game. I have the over. I think I'm a half point short. I basically need a field goal, okay, to hit the over. It's about 3 minutes left. It's fourth down. I want the Cowboys to kick the field goal, and they don't. They're on their, I think, 4-yard line is 4th and 2, and they went for it instead of kicking the field goal up a bunch of points, right? Which, okay, I mean, I can kind of understand that, whatever, but they don't get it, right? They throw an incomplete pass. So they were obviously trying to score a touchdown, okay? This is with 3 minutes left in the game. I'm getting my point here. So then the Raiders go 3-and-out, or I think the Raiders punted. No, they turned it over. Yeah, they turned it over. Cowboys get the ball.
Downs.
Yeah. Then they just kneel it out. Okay. Not only do they kneel it out, they kneeled it out with time left. They intentionally turned the ball over rather than kicking a field goal.
Yeah, they took over inside the 20.
Yes, and they kneeled 4 times, and then they intentionally turned it over without kicking a field goal. My problem with that is, why the hell were you trying to score a touchdown so bad on fourth down before that if you're just going to kneel the ball 4 times? I don't know. Something really, really irked me about that. It was really, really shady. I'm not one of those guys that's going to say the NFL's rigged, but that was like almost the ultimate rig job right there. Regarding the total, the spread didn't matter because the Cowboys had blown the game out anyway. But if you were on the over, by the way, about 300 yards away from Mandalay Bay, there's a sports book right there, right from the strip. I mean, I don't know, man. That really rubbed me the wrong way. It was a really bad beat.
The Eagles and Lions, that's one of the worst bad pass interference calls to basically end a game I've ever seen in my life. Do we need to, within 2 minutes, have the ability to have calls like that reviewed, Scott?
Well, they tried 1 year of reviewing pass interference calls after the New Orleans, Los Angeles Rams debacle. Down there. And it didn't work out. It took too much time, and the next year they voted it out again. So I don't know what the I don't know what the answer is. You're going to get objective or subjective calls throughout a football game. Sometimes they're going to go your way, sometimes they're not. In an ideal world, yeah, we'd absolutely look at that and say that's not pass interference, but that's not the world we live in. And after their 1-year experiment that failed, I don't see that happening again, buddy. So I think we're just going to have to deal with the bad beats and then bitch about them on Monday.
Okay, well, here we are, bitching away. David Delano, how are you, sir? Bring you into the conversation.
I'm doing all right. One thing I want to just mention really, really briefly. I know how you're talking about shady stuff going on. There was an interview I saw of a player who played for New Orleans, University of New Orleans college basketball last year. he did an interview recently. I can send you guys the link. He was talking about how for $5,000 he shaved points last year. I'm surprised he was saying this on camera. It particularly got my attention because the MAC in that Southeastern Conference with New Orleans, I actually had quite a few wagers on New Orleans last year. I even remember a particular best bet I had on New Orleans last year where a lot of people didn't, and I just completely looked terrible on it. And then just seeing this guy talking about he said he had a baby on the way and he shaved some points. So I don't, with the NFL level, it's different, but we're starting to see some strange stuff happening. And I know we hate to say that. Yeah, we hate to say that, but we are seeing that there are some compromised decisions going on there. Sometimes maybe you're not a bad capper, but unless you have the real inside information, it's always a risk.
I think we're going to see a lot of in-game props go away, a lot of in-game player props, and that's what they had the problem with the Guardians, whether the next pitch would be a strike or a ball or whatever, or the velocity. And I think we're going to see a lot of that go away. I just think the temptation. I think there's too much temptation there. There's too much availability, and frankly, there's too many players. I'm surprised a Major League Baseball player got caught doing it, but as far as a college player, that needs the money, yeah, it's. I think we're going to see some restrictions coming. I hope it's not too bad for our business.
Going back to that, Emmanuel Clase. I mean, I don't know if people follow baseball watching the show. I know it's mainly a football show, but that guy's one of the best relievers in Major League Baseball. Right. I don't know if he got paid yet. I mean, he probably would have got $20 million a year, something like that, if he would have just kept his nose clean. Threw it away for.
He did for what, like 14,000 or something like that.
It's so dumb. I mean, it's just so stupid. I do not understand it. It is such little money compared to what they make, and it's just, I don't know. It's greed. It's because the opportunity is there. I don't know why you would risk your career where you could make a couple $100 million for a few grand. It blows my mind. All right, let's talk some picks, shall we? My first one is on the NFL on Thursday Night Football. I'll throw it out there and then let everybody eviscerate me and tell me how wrong I am. Bills Texans. So this over-under opened at 46.5, and now it's down to 43.5. I think because C.J. Stroud is out for sure for QB for the Texans, and the Bills are down. They're starting tight end and a couple of receivers. And I know the Texans have an excellent defense, but I still think this number is too low now. Look, the Bills can't stop the run, and now everybody knows it. The Texans are going to have a big night running the ball, which, by the way, interesting stat, guys, called running plays are more effective on average in Thursday night football games than in other NFL games. Although these games overall tend to be lower scoring. And if you think about that, those two things might go together. But keep this in mind. A couple weeks ago, Davis Mills at QB for the Texans threw for almost 300 yards and 2 touchdowns en route to a 36-29 win over the Jags. And I remember the text messages flying, oh my God, I'm on the under and the Texans go crazy on offense. I think that was David. I don't know. It was somebody on the group put that out. That
yes,
was you?
It was me. Yes.
Okay. You were losing your mind. Because, they just went crazy scoring. And, of course, Texans the under had been a great bet all season. And the Bills just hung 40-plus on the Bucs defense, which isn't bad. And they were down that tight end. Look, the Bills are winning running the ball and Josh Allen doing his Superman thing and throwing to whatever receiver is open. And look, Texans 21, Bills 24 puts you over the 43.5. I love the over in this game. Somebody tell me why I'm stupid.
Well, I don't think you're stupid, but I like the under. I mean, obviously Davis Mills, he looked great in that comeback against Tennessee last week. I think they had to come back if I remember correctly, but he went 26 of 41, 274 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. He's looked okay in CJ's absence. Buffalo's defense, obviously, they gave up 32 to Tampa last week. They gave up 30 to the Dolphins when they lost the Dolphins the week before that. But I think
defense is not good.
Yeah, but I think McDermott's going to kind of try to shore that up a little bit. Houston's defense is arguably the best in the league. They're number one in the league. They only allow 16 points per game. I get they, played the Tennessee Titans 2 times, and that probably has a lot to do with that. Houston is number one in opposition quarterback rating of 70.3, on a scale of 100 to the quarterback rating, that stat. So that's pretty good. I think they're going to get after Josh Allen here. But yeah, I like the under in the game. I just think I think this is the best defense the Bills have faced this year, if I'm other than maybe the Patriots.
Tampa Bay's defense is pretty damn good. And they just eviscerated them.
Yeah, another thing to keep in mind too, it's a short week, and Buffalo's got to travel to. They got to travel to Houston, whereas Houston was at home, so they haven't had to travel at all. Too, it's more food for thought.
All right, anybody else want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, this is a serious. This is a serious.
Go ahead.
Bless you. This is a seriously good Houston defense. They haven't given up 200 yards through the air since the third game of the season against Jacksonville. They do a great job at stopping the run. They've given up less than 100 yards in 4 straight games. I'm just not sure the Bills' offense is built for this. This is they're really a pretty one-dimensional offense. They throw the ball. They still don't run the ball. Even with Cook, they still don't run the ball very effectively. They've run the last 2 weeks. They went against Miami. They didn't even average 4 yards per carry against this Miami defense, and that's not a good defense. They did a little better against Tampa Bay. Still didn't break 100 yards. Went for just 97. Josh Allen did his thing, and that certainly was the difference in the game. But I think this Houston defense does well stopping the run and stopping the pass. Yeah, Lou, I don't. If I'm probably going to shy away from the total, but if I had to play it, I would be going under. I just think that Buffalo.
Let me just point something out in the past 4 weeks. That vaunted Texas defense gave up 29 to the Jaguars, 27 to the Seahawks, and the Broncos beat them 18-15. Okay, not a lot of scoring, but the Broncos offense sucks. And then, yeah, the 49ers only scored 15 against them, but they were out a bunch of players and at Texas. So, if you're giving 27 to the Seahawks and 29 to the Jaguars, can the Bills match that? I think so, David.
Yeah, I actually agree with Lou. I mean, it's a little uncomfortable taking the over in a Texans game, but I think that the offense is starting to, Davis Mills, they're starting to get some rhythm. It's crazy how low the scoring has been when you look at they play in a dome with perfect conditions. And I think that I don't think they're going to be able to stop Josh Allen and Buffalo's offense. So I think that they're going to have to get a little bit more aggressive even in the second half. And I think that could either lead to some plays or maybe some turnovers that lead to points the other way for the Bills. But yeah, I think this is a manageable number. I don't think it's going to just go crazy over, but coming down from that 46, coming below that 45 and below 44, at
46 and a half, I wouldn't have been on it. 46 and a half, I wouldn't have been on it, but down the 3 points to 43 and a half, I'm like, yeah. Speaking of low numbers, Raiders and Browns is at 36. Anyway, that's going to be an ugly game.
Hey, real quick, Lou, before we move off this game.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw out some props because I gave them out on another show, so might as well give them out here.
Let's do that.
So I'm going Josh Allen under 224 and a half passing yards. It's minus 114 at FanDuel. I just think they're going to get after the quarterback, so I don't think he throws for that many yards. Actually, like I mentioned, that opposition quarterback rating of 70.3. Also, too, Scott kind of alluded to this as well, but they only allow 171 passing yards a game. And this is set at 224 and a half. I get it's Josh Allen. So anyway, I also like him over 6.5 rush attempts plus 115. Quarterback sneaks, design runs, that can happen too. James Cook, anytime TD, minus 115. And the Bills' first drive to be a punt. Bills' first drive, punt, plus 125.
All right.
That might be the best bet of the whole game.
I agree. I like that a lot. For the record, Houston has not given up more than 224 passing yards in any game this season to any quarterback.
There you go.
What is there's a rookie running back on the Texans. I'd be interested in the over on whatever his rushing total is, because he's going to get he's getting the majority of the snaps now by far, and he's taken over the backfield. And the Bills, they cannot stop the run.
Woody Marks
just suck at that. Let's see, what is his name? I've got him on my
fantasy. Woody Marks.
Yeah, Woody Marks. Yeah, I again, this is purely watching. Look, the Bills can't stop the run. Everybody has figured that out now. So I just think the Texans are going to run the ball down their throat. And it's nothing fancy. People just run the ball straight down their throat. I mean, it's not like, a lot of pulling guards or whatever. They're just running it through the A gap and gaining 15 yards a pop. It's kind of crazy. All right.
The Texans do have Nick Chubb as well, just FYI.
Yeah, but Marks has taken over the backfield. He's getting the vast majority of the carries now. All right, David, let's go to college. What do you got for me?
What do I got for you in college? I think that this Hawaii and UNLV game is going to be pretty interesting on a Friday night there. I think that we're probably going to see quite a few points in that one. I know it's a little bit of a high total, but I kind of like Hawaii. I know that they're traveling, but this has been a team that I've really doubted for a lot of the year, and now they're really starting to come together. So that's one that's jumps out at me quite a bit there for the Hawaii one on Friday. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on those early games or anything later.
I
like the over.
I haven't looked at it yet, but I know this Hawaii team does a lot of things right, and they have definitely been, just like you're saying, under the radar. The thing you want to look at when you're playing UNLV, can you stop the run? And Hawaii's done a pretty good job, given just 4.2 yards per carry. And I think if you turn UNLV one-dimensional or make them throw the football, I think you're going to be okay as far as Hawaii is. 64.5, man. I don't know, but this UNLV defense is absolutely dreadful, and it's
bad.
You've probably seen no bigger impact on any team with the transfer portal than UNLV, because they were absolutely studs against the run last year and lost all the guys on defense, and now they're a completely different team on the defensive side of the ball. Can't stop the run and really don't do a good job of stopping the pass. But in particular, they give up 5.5 yards per carry on the ground, and that's just an invitation for Hawaii to do their thing. Even though they're a team that would rather throw the football, I think they'll move the ball how they're most effective, and I think they're going to have success running the football. Dave, I like the Rainbow Warriors. They're catching the three.
All right.
Yeah,
go ahead, David.
Oh, another ugly one. I won't talk too long about it. I like Iowa at minus 16.5 against Michigan State. I just don't see anything from Michigan State right now. I know that you can think that they could be motivated to finally win a Big Ten game, but I was on another show last week, and some really respected people that liked them last week against Penn State. But sometimes just watching the eye test, I think Michigan State, they've got the wrong coach, the wrong quarterback. That team needs to go in another direction. Iowa has really been playing well. They got able to put up more points than Iowa teams in the past, and this Michigan State team just seems like guys are ready for the season to end and jump into the transfer portal. They don't seem to have any culture or an identity. I think Iowa's going to beat them by at least 3 touchdowns. So it's another one I like right now early on is the Iowa Hawkeyes minus 16.5.
Yeah, Sparty seems to have all kinds of issues right now. But I got burned last week picking against a team that I thought had given up all season, Colorado State. And they ended up, yeah. So that was bad for me. So it's kind of scary for me because you figure, you look at some teams, you go, oh, okay, that team's given up, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they get off the mat. Speaking of getting off the mat, Wes, are you excited for James Franklin at Va Tech?
Yeah, I mean, it's got nowhere to go but up from there. But yeah, no, it's a good hire. I mean, Virginia Tech, they was it Pry, the coach they fired? I think that was his name. But yeah, you knew he was going to get some kind of a decent job. He wasn't going to exactly go back and coach high school football. But the ACC, it's a little bit easier to get wins over there than the Big Ten per se, in my opinion, at least.
Not for Virginia Tech this year.
Yeah. Now, I do have a couple games though that I want to give out here.
Let's go.
I know we're running low on time, but I like Arkansas and Texas over 57.5. Arkansas is disappointing, only 2-8 on the year. Bobby Petrino took over for Sam Pittman. Obviously, it's a second go around too at Arkansas, but they played hard for him. They haven't lost a game by more than 9 points since he took over, and that's in the SEC. So that's tough competition, right? Arch Manning looked terrible, last week against Georgia. They only put up 10 points, but I think they get back on track offensively here. They could still get in the college football playoff, but they need help. They need teams above them to lose, which might not happen. They have to win this game too against Arkansas and win against Texas A&M. Like the over there, over 57.5, Arkansas and Texas. Also, moving up to your neck of the woods up there in the Pacific Northwest, I like USC plus 9.5 here against Oregon. Open to 10, down to 9.5. USC is getting some love. The Trojans just have a great offense, man. 489 yards per game, 38 points per game. It's like that old expression. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense. So I think it's going to be a high scoring game, kind of like the over too. But I'm just going to stick with USC plus 9.5. I think Lincoln Riley, he has a good game plan. Jaden Mayava, their quarterback, really good. Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane, probably both going to be playing on Sundays one day. So give me USC plus 9.5 against Oregon.
Up here, another the other couple of other teams, Washington State at James Madison earlier in the day on Saturday. I love the Dukes minus 13.5. I just have no belief in Washington State, and the teams going from the West Coast to the East Coast are just do not do well at all. And then also up here, late game, Washington at UCLA. This is 7:30 East Coast, 10:30 10:30 in the East. Scott will be asleep. But no, you're a late night guy, aren't you, Scott?
I am. I'm a late night guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll be up for that game. I like Washington minus 10 in that one. So throwing that one out. All right, Scott, give us some college football love.
I'm gonna fade my Tigers, my alma mater. This is a Missouri team that's down to their third quarterback. They got to travel to Norman to take on an Oklahoma team that is doing their best to try to get qualified for the playoffs. Oklahoma laying 7.5. Mizzou is pretty much one-dimensional at this point with Hardy and the other back, who's also very good. But Oklahoma's rush defense is elite, giving up just 2.5 yards per carry. You make Missouri throw the ball, bad things are going to happen, and I think Mateer will be able to do enough against this Mizzou defense to keep them on their heels. And I think the defense will be spending a lot of time on the field. It could be close for a while, but I think Oklahoma pulls away late as Mizzou gets gas. Give me Oklahoma minus 7.5. I'm also on SMU over Louisville, laying just 2.5. This is a Louisville team that isn't playing good football right now. SMU is another team that's kind of under the radar. They both have 7-3 records. I think the Ponies can get it done there against the Cards.
Speaking of the college football playoff, it looks like Notre Dame is going to get in with a 9-2 record. They're currently ranked number 9. And Miami, who is currently ranked number 11, will probably stay at 11 and miss the playoff, even though they beat Notre Dame earlier in the season. David, is that a great system? Should the Hurricanes be pissed off if that happens? Because it's very likely to.
I don't know. I got to see how it all plays out. It's tough to say. I mean, the quick answer would be, yes, they should. But, when you look at, everything else, and there's so many other teams in there, like I know I've seen Utah ahead of, BYU. Utah's looked better according to a lot of metrics, even though they lost to BYU. So it gets a little tricky because when you laid all those teams in there, Notre Dame did lose those games early. That was the first game of the season. Sometimes that could be the disadvantage of playing a game like that early. But on the surface, yeah, it does seem unfair. But you got to see if Miami wins out. Maybe they'll lose another game, and we won't. Things will clear up a little bit.
Notre Dame has Syracuse at home, and then they go to Stanford. I cannot, for the life of me, seeing them lose either of those games.
Well, Notre Dame won't, but maybe Pittsburgh, maybe.
Maybe Pittsburgh beats Miami. Yeah, possibility. All right. You gave us your college football picks, right, David?
Yes.
Okay. Wes did, Scott did. NFL Sunday. Anybody got anything they want to throw out?
It's kind of funny to see the Saints favored right now over the Falcons. I mean,
Yeah, what is that because Cousins is playing?
Yes.
Yeah, and the Falcons are just, I mean, who are the Atlanta Falcons? They're just like one week they're very good, the next week they're terrible, and then it's been that way all year. Raheem Morris, I'm not a big fan, to be honest with you. This is his second go around as head coach too with the Falcons, I believe. I don't think he's the guy, man. I like Penix. Penix has a cannon.
1 minute.
But I find it funny that New Orleans is favored.
I actually have Falcons as a money line dog for pick. I like the Falcons because the Saints are just that terrible. Browns at Raiders, that number's low, guys. 36. David, what do you think? Stay away or is it a play?
I might stay away. I find it hard to see how the Raiders are going to move the ball against the Browns, and I don't know if the Browns are really going to be able to move the ball. But what worries me there is I could definitely see some turnovers. Yep. I could definitely see some pick sixes, some special teams. Yep. So I don't really like the under for that reason.
That's the Shedeur Sanders debut, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Start.
Well, I mean, that means you could have multiple pick sixes by each team, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a vacuum, I do like the under there. I don't think the offenses are going to be able to score, but turnovers are always a mixed bag because you never know when they're going to occur. They could occur after an 80-yard drive. They could occur at your own 10. So when there's going to be turnovers, it's usually a pretty good idea to stay away from the under.
Your Chiefs, the Colts coming in hot. They're plus 3.5. The Chiefs have been struggling. This is a must win. I like the Colts plus 3.5. I think the Chiefs eke it out, but I think it's close, Scott.
Yeah, well, last week was a must-win for the Chiefs, too, as they traveled to Denver and tried to keep their division hopes alive, and we saw how that went. This is a football team that we really thought would be playing well coming out of the bye. They didn't play well the last game before the bye. They didn't play well last game. I'll take the Colts there plus the 3.5, absolutely.
All right. This has been the Hit the Pick Show, and they are great handicappers. Don't listen to me so much, but everybody else, yeah, you want to pay attention to what they have to say. I'm Loud Esmond for Scott, Wes, and Kung Fu Grip himself, David Murata. Thanks for being here, everybody. Until next week.